Henry Winkler sat in the soft glow of a studio light, fingers tracing the rim of a coffee mug as if it held the weight of decades. The camera's red tally blinked to life, and a hush settled over the small crew. At 78, the man millions know as the Fonz was about to speak openly for the first time about whispers that have followed him through the years, rumors concerning his longtime co-star. When the director called rolling, Henry inhaled sharply, setting his jaw with quiet resolve. He looked straight into the lens and said, "I've shared laughter and tears with this person for 20 years. It's time I shared the truth about what really happened behind the scenes." That simple declaration sparked collective anticipation. Social media had buzzed for months. Was there tension between Winkler and his co-star? Had they fallen out over a backstage disagreement? Fans traded theories late into the night, scouring interviews for clues, piecing together fragments from talk shows and award ceremonies. Now the questions that once lurked in rumor mills would encounter the actor's own voice, nuanced, reflective, and determined to set the record straight. He leaned back, recalling the first time he met his co-star on the soundstage. It was a brisk autumn morning, laughter echoing through corridors still lit with fresh paint. Henry remembered being drawn to the newcomer's energy, genuine curiosity, quick wit, and a hunger to learn. Over take after take, they formed an unspoken bond, a camaraderie built on shared jokes between shots and late-night rehearsals under faint hallway lights. Yet, like all partnerships, there's endured tests both trivial and career-defining. In hushed tones, he recounted the turning point. A tense table read early in season 3 when a line change ended up feeling like a personal slight. The director, pressed for time, barked instructions without context. The co-star, already nervous, snapped back. Henry, veteran of countless sets, approached them both and asked to step aside. With gentle steadiness, he reminded everyone that a show's success depends on trust, not tempers. He told them he'd carry the tension to his own dressing room rather than let it spill over. That act of silent leadership surprised the younger actor, who confessed years later that the Fonz had become his unexpected mentor, demonstrating that kindness can resolve conflict more effectively than confrontation. Yet rumors persisted. Tabloid headlines sold stories of off-camera rivalries, malicious gossip hinting at jealousy and creative sabotage. Even well-meaning journalists framed harmless disagreements as seismic rifts. Henry chuckled at the absurdity, recalling a feature that speculated he once refused to share a trailer with the co-star, when in reality, they'd swapped trailers for a charity auction. Each myth took on a life of its own, growing more elaborate until fans began to believe them as gospel truth. Tonight, he aimed to dismantle those tales one by one. With calm clarity, he spoke of the invisible threads that bind co-stars. Mutual respect forged in rehearsal rooms, gentle ribbing exchanged under makeup mirrors, and shared nerves before live audiences. He revealed that after every heated moment, they would retreat for coffee and revisit the script, finding laughter in forgotten lines and learning from each misstep. That ritual, he said, kept them grounded and turned potential grudges into memories of growth. As the first segment drew to a close, he paused and offered a soft smile. "If you're wondering why these rumors took root," he said, "it's because people want drama. But real life doesn't always fit a scandalous headline." The crew leaned in, sensing the shift from gossip to genuine reflection. A subtle swell of piano rose in the background as Henry brushed a hand through his silver hair. "Next," he promised, "I'll share the moment that tested our partnership in the most unexpected way, and how we emerged stronger, side by side." The day the rumor really caught fire, we were halfway through filming a key dramatic scene, a hospital confrontation where my character was meant to confess long-buried regrets. My co-star, whose name I'll reveal in a moment, had delivered his lines with such raw intensity that tears welled in his eyes between takes. Unbeknownst to us, a tabloid photographer lurked just off set and snapped a candid shot. Our faces inches apart, his hand brushing away an imaginary tear on my cheek. He later apologized, saying he'd merely been correcting stray makeup, but the flash and the angle transformed tenderness into tension. By morning, the headlines screamed that we'd come to blows, that he'd slapped me, that I'd stormed off in fury. Fonz versus Sidekick, set into meltdown, read one banner. Fans demanded retractions. Pundits debated whether the network would recast the younger actor. Within hours, social media churned out memes, wild speculation, and fractured clips that seemed to prove every rumor true. At first, I was equal parts astonished and amused. I knew the truth, but in today's 24/7 gossip mill, the loudest story often drowns out reality. Call sheets the next day instructed the cast to steer clear of press. Yet I couldn't stand by while our show's heart risked being eclipsed by nonsense. So I did what any determined veteran would do. I dialed my co-star's personal number. His voice crackled on the line, tense with worry. I laughed gently and said, "I read you went full-on Oscar mode on me yesterday. Care to explain?" Another long pause. Then he chuckled through relief. "Henry, that was me dabbling at makeup, not launching a punch. Let the tabloids sell their fiction." We shared a laugh, but I knew that private reassurance wouldn't undo thousands of misinformed clicks. That afternoon, I attended a crisis meeting in a glass-walled network office. Executives suggested issuing a bland press release, an apology, maybe a carefully staged photo op. But I remembered a lesson I've carried since my first days at The Tonight Show. Authenticity disarms rumor. So I sat down and wrote an open letter addressed directly to our viewers. I kept it brief and genuine, thanked them for their passion, then explained what had really happened in that fleeting moment. We posted it on our official website, shared it on social media, and within hours, fans who'd been fuming began to lighten. They reposted the letter alongside behind-the-scenes snapshots of the cast goofing around, our arms draped over each other in friendship. Comments shifted from outrage to relief. "So glad it was never real. I love how Henry handled it." By the end of the week, the rumor had fizzled faster than spilled gasoline. The network even produced a playful PSA. My co-star and I reenacted the infamous slap in exaggerated slow motion, ending with an over-the-top hug. We donated the cheek prop to a children's hospital auction, turning a moment of false drama into genuine joy for sick kids. That lighthearted response wasn't just a PR move. It was a testament to the power of humor and truth against wild conjecture. Yet the most revealing chapter in our partnership came weeks later, off-camera and far from tabloid optics. It was the night my co-star, performing a dangerous stunt, suffered a serious injury, landing him in a real hospital bed. That crisis stripped away every facade and forged a bond stronger than any on-screen camaraderie. In the next segment, I'll share how that ordeal tested our loyalty and ultimately reshaped both our lives. Proof that true partnership thrives in the unguarded moments no camera ever captures. Weeks after the PSA went viral, our cast gathered for a charity gala honoring stunt performers. It was there, amid velvet ropes and spotlighted banners, that the true test of our partnership emerged. My co-star had volunteered to demonstrate a controlled fall, and homage to our show's most daring scenes, on a makeshift platform behind the stage. He vaulted off with practiced confidence, only to twist midair and land awkwardly on one arm. Gasps rippled through the crowd as his face drained of color. Instinctively, I dashed forward, weaving between cameras and startled guests, until I reached his side. His stunt double and I helped him up, but every movement triggered a searing pain in his shoulder. Backstage, the emergency medical team arrived, and I kept talking to him in low tones, guiding him through breathing exercises I'd learned decades ago on other sets. "Hold on," I kept saying, voice firm but gentle. "Help is right here." I felt the weight of every second stretch like a lifetime as technicians stabilized him on a stretcher and ferried him to the hospital wing of the event venue. The gala's bright lights dimmed behind me, but in the ambulance's rearview mirror, I saw his eyes, filled with pain but rooted in trust. That fleeting glance underscored the fragility of performance and the profound responsibility we owe each other off camera. At the makeshift ER, I paced a narrow hall, fielding calls from producers and fielding texts from worried fans who'd seen the news ticker flash the incident. "Is he okay? Will filming be delayed? We need answers." I typed quick reassurances, but felt each question like a weighted arrow. Then I heard footsteps on linoleum and turned to see him leaning on a nurse's arm, his typical bravado softened by obvious discomfort. I pulled a folding chair next to his gurney and placed a hand on his knee. "You gave us all a scare," I said quietly. His lips quirked into a half smile. "Fawn's to the rescue," he joked, voice rough. The humor was a balm, reminding me that laughter can heal wounds conventionally medicine cannot reach. Doctors confirmed a fractured collarbone requiring surgery, meaning weeks of recovery and postponed shoots. On set, schedules would scramble, budgets would flex, and headlines would spin fresh rumors. But in that hospital cubicle, those realities felt secondary. I helped sign consent forms, discussed rehabilitation plans, and simply stayed by his side, reading him lines, telling him stories from our first seasons, and reminding him how much our audience valued authenticity over perfection. Outside that small room, network execs buzzed, but inside, time slowed to the pulse of genuine care. During those long post-operative nights, I slept in a recliner while he rested in a crisp hospital bed. We replayed shared memories. Our first table read, our improvised dance during a blooper reel, the countless ad-libs that turned scenes into classics. Each recollection anchored us to friendship, not just forced proximity. One night, he turned to me and said, "Henry, you've been my anchor. I don't know what I'd do without you." No teleprompter wrote that line, just heartfelt gratitude between two actors whose careers intertwined in unexpected ways. I squeezed his hand and replied, "We're a team. Always have been, always will be." By the time he was discharged, the bond was stronger than any scripted punchline. We emerged from that ordeal not merely co-stars, but brothers in arms, deeply aware that trust off-camera fortifies trust on. And when we returned to filming, camera rolling and lights blazing, we brought that solidarity to every scene. The moments that followed crackled with renewed energy, more authentic laughs, more spontaneous ad-libs, and a palpable understanding that our partnership could weather both rumor and real crisis. When the director called action on our first day back, the tension we'd carried simply evaporated. The scene required my co-star, his collarbone fully healed, to cradle my character in a farewell embrace. And as our arms met, the warmth felt more genuine than any line could script. A hush fell over the crew. They sensed that this wasn't mere acting, but two people who'd faced real adversity together. After the cut, the cinematographer told me, "That shot will haunt fans in the best way." In that moment, I realized our off-camera trials had infused every frame with truth. Over the next few weeks, our performances took on a newfound depth. Simple exchanges, an approving nod, a sideways grin, carried the weight of trust. During lunch breaks, we'd sit side by side, reviewing dailies on a tablet and pointing out moments where our unguarded laughter peeked through character facades. Those glimpses became part of the final edit, reminding viewers that even polished television thrives on raw connection. In one pivotal episode, we improvised a scene where our characters shared a toast to second chances, an homage to our real-life resilience. When the episode aired, fan forums exploded with comments like, "I've never felt Hollywood heroes seem so human," and "You both just leveled up." It was gratifying in a way no award ceremony ever could match. During press tours promoting the new season, interviews shifted away from sensational rumors toward conversations about the bond that had emerged. Journalists asked how we transformed conflict into collaboration. I'd smile and say, "We learned that missteps can be stepping stones if you own them." My co-star echoed, "When Henry showed me grace instead of headlines, I discovered what true mentorship looks like." Those statements resonated magnetically, drawing coverage not for scandal but for solidarity, proof that positive narratives can outshine the sensational. Back on set, production culture subtly shifted. Crew members joked about the no-rumor zone, reminding each other to call a peer before speculating. Makeup artists felt comfortable sharing off-camera stories. Editors slipped candid moments into gag reels, and even the network's publicists reframed press junkets as opportunities to highlight teamwork over tabloid fodder. The rumor that once spread like wildfire became a cautionary tale in Hollywood seminars about crisis management and the responsibility stars carry to shape public discourse. Outside the studio, fans responded in kind. Support groups formed online where viewers shared their own stories of overcoming misunderstandings, both personal and professional. One fan wrote from Brazil about how she and her roommate had quarreled over social media rumors until they watched our making-of video together. They laughed, they cried, and they reconciled. Another letter from a high school teacher recounted showing the PSA we'd filmed, using it as a lesson in empathy and conflict resolution. Reading those accounts reminded me that our willingness to address rumors in good faith actually cultivated kindness on a global scale. As the season finale approached, we filmed a climax that called for tears, laughter, and a final handshake that signaled unbreakable friendship. When the cameras stopped, we held that handshake a beat longer, savoring the unspoken gratitude grown from crisis. Crew members lingered to applaud, and for an instant the soundstage transformed into an auditorium of genuine emotion. That standing ovation wasn't for a scripted performance, but for the real journey we'd navigated together. Now, sitting in my home office, I reflect on how rumors, which once threatened to fracture trust, ultimately became catalyst for deeper authenticity. I think of my co-star not as a partner in fiction, but as a brother whose resilience reminded me why storytelling matters. In the final episode's credits, we added a simple dedication to all who choose compassion over conjecture. That dedication speaks volumes about the power of truth well told. In our next and final segment, I'll explore how this experience reshaped my own outlook on privacy, public image, and the enduring value of vulnerability. We'll delve into the lessons I've carried forward into new roles and into life beyond the spotlight. Until then, remember, sometimes the hardest rumors to face lead us to our strongest truths. The aftermath of our season's unexpected upheaval brought me face to face with questions I'd never dared ask in 30 years of playing the Fonz. Who was I off camera? What boundaries did I need to draw between public persona and private life? In the days that followed our on-set crisis and the viral PSA, I found myself walking through old memories and future possibilities, seeking a balance I'd never truly examined. One morning, I unplugged my phone in our family room and watched sunlight flicker across my daughter's piano keys. No notifications, no headlines, just the familiar hum of home. I poured a cup of tea and thumbed through a journal I kept since my first sitcom days, scribbled reflections on performance, gratitude lists, and unedited confessions I never intended to share. There, I rediscovered entries about vulnerability, notes reminding me that authenticity isn't weakness. I realized I'd spent decades polishing Fawn's tough charisma, masking insecurities beneath leather jackets and catchphrases. Yet adversity had taught me that imperfection resonates more deeply than any perfect facade. That afternoon, I called a close friend, an award-winning journalist who once interviewed me at the start of my career. Over coffee, I admitted I felt torn between shielding my private self and offering fans genuine glimpses of my humanity. She listened carefully, then offered a piece of wisdom. Privacy isn't about hiding. It's about choosing what to protect. Vulnerability thrives in the spaces you're willing to share. Her words echoed for days as I drafted a new personal guideline for no-go subjects reserved for family-only conversations, paired with 3 open chapters I'd willingly discuss in future interviews. My love for family traditions, the mental health lessons I've learned, and my passion for mentoring young actors. Establishing these boundaries transformed how I approached media requests. When talk shows called, I paused before agreeing, evaluating whether the topic fit within my open chapters. If it did, I'd offer candid anecdotes about post-crisis anxieties or the unexpected solidarity with my co-star. If not, I politely declined or suggested sharing a lighter story about baking halal with my wife or rehearsing improv games and acting workshops. That selective transparency felt empowering rather than restrictive. Fans understood that real people have private lives worthy of protection, and public figures need not disclose every detail to remain authentic. Simultaneously, I revisited the idea of writing my memoir. In its tentative title, Beyond the Jumpsuit, Lessons from the Set and the Heart, I envisioned chapters that unfold beyond sitcom walls. The triumph of genuine empathy, the humility that arises when rumors threaten reputations, and the healing that follows honest confession. I drafted an opening passage describing the clash of studio lights and private hospital corridors, contrasting the adrenaline of on-screen stunts with the hushed beeps of medical monitors. That contrast framing illustrated a universal truth: no amount of on-set glamour shields us from life's fragility. As a veteran actor, I've been offered countless roles, a doctor here, a detective there, but the role that now calls me most urgently is storyteller of my own life. I began hosting small workshops at local theaters, inviting actors to explore vulnerability exercises, writing unscripted letters to childhood friends, sharing personal setbacks in a safe circle, and reenacting moments of tension with fellow performers. Those sessions revealed that behind every rehearsal room bravado lies a kaleidoscope of fear, hope, and untold resilience. Watching younger actors embrace their flaws reminded me how precious authenticity is in a world hungry for sensationalism. In quiet moments at home, I also reconnected with my family's traditions. Dough rising in the kitchen, spontaneous living room jazz jams led by my grandson, and late-night stargazing on our porch. These rituals became anchors, grounding me beyond the buzz of cameras and chorus of rumor mills. I realized that public figures sustain their humanity through recurring practices that honor private bonds. My journey through rumor, crisis, and renewal has reshaped my view of celebrity. I now see that vulnerability isn't a liability, but a bridge. It invites fans to witness not just an icon, but a flawed soul striving for integrity. It taught me that privacy and authenticity need not be opposing forces. Rather, they form a dynamic partnership, one that allows public figures to share purposefully and protect what truly matters. In our final segment, I'll distill these lessons into 3 guiding principles for anyone navigating public perception. Choose vulnerability with intention, honor privacy without guilt, and cultivate rituals that sustain your true self. Until then, remember, authenticity isn't an all-or-nothing leap. It's a gentle unveiling, one story at a time that in the quiet aftermath of confronting rumors and reclaiming my personal narrative, I discovered a truth that transcends any tabloid headline. Authenticity is a craft, one that demands care, courage, and intentional boundaries. Over the years, I have refined my approach to sharing life on camera, selecting moments that reveal genuine emotion without sacrificing private sanctuaries of peace. I've learned that a well-told story is not built on every disclosed detail, but on the honesty of what we choose to share. As I look ahead, my mission is clear: to guide others through 3 principles that foster trust, protect privacy, and sustain creative vitality. First, choose vulnerability with intention. Identify the stories within you that carry universal resonance. Lessons learned from personal missteps, moments of triumph over adversity, and the small epiphanies that shaped your outlook. Share these narratives in spaces where they can serve others: interviews, panels, podcasts, or personal writings. By framing vulnerability as an offering rather than a plea for sympathy, you invite genuine connection. Your audience feels not exposed but respected, honored by your trust. This deliberate sharing builds credibility and transforms fleeting fame into lasting rapport. Second, honor your privacy without guilt. Establish clear boundaries around topics that serve your well-being and preserve intimate moments with loved ones. Communicate these limits respectfully to interviewers and collaborators, redirecting conversations toward your open chapters. Remember that privacy is not secrecy. It is a sanctuary for growth and restoration. By protecting personal spaces, you guard the authenticity you choose to display. Audiences learn to respect your discretion and appreciate the glimpses you offer, strengthening goodwill and preventing rumors from filling every silence. Consider privacy as part of your public narrative strategy. Self-imposed limitations can heighten intrigue and earn deeper credibility. Third, cultivate rituals that sustain your true self. Whether it's daily meditation, late-night writing sessions, walks with family, or creative hobbies like painting, these practices become anchors in a sea of public demand. Rituals ground you in your core values and provide a stable foundation when headlines threaten to sweep you off balance. Share snippets of these routines if you wish, perhaps a morning journal entry or a weekend sketch, offering fans a glimpse of the personal disciplines that fuel your authenticity. Rituals remind us that while fame may ebb and flow, the habits that nourish our spirit remain steadfast. These 3 principles, intentional vulnerability, protected privacy, and sustaining rituals, form a compass for navigating the complex interplay between public persona and private self. In my own life, I've embraced them by drafting memoir chapters on the set's quiet corners, fielding interviews that spotlight my family's traditions, and sketching moments of stillness in a sketchbook kept by my bedside. They remind me that my identity extends beyond any character I portray. By practicing vulnerability with clear purpose, I have built deeper relationships with fans. By policing my privacy, I have preserved spaces where creative reflection can flourish. And by honoring daily rituals, I have maintained the resilience to engage authentically on screen. These lessons are not exclusive to actors. They apply to anyone managing a public image, from CEOs to community leaders. Authenticity scaled properly becomes a gift that lifts both storyteller and audience alike. As I continue this journey, I invite you to apply these principles in your own life. Share with purpose, protect with pride, and anchor yourself in rituals that fuel your courage. The spotlight may shift, but a well-tended soul shines in any light. Live boldly, speak your truth,